Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I've kind of been out of pocket because I took my son, my 15-year-old, I took him to the Georgia Tech, a baseball prospect camp. He's now entering sophomore year of high school. So we were going up there to, he's not fully ready yet, but I'm just putting him on the radar now. So that was the first step, just to let them watch him. They let him pitch one inning, and he's a lefty, so they let him throw one inning, and he struck out 3 kids, and so he did great. So we shall see. He's got some more growing to do, and he's got to get another 5 or 7 miles an hour, but we're working on it. All right. All this the infrastructure bill that's been going on in Congress, that's kind of the market kind of went up. I guess everybody felt like it was going to be pro-crypto. And then this one senator, my understanding of all this is that this one Senator Warner came out of nowhere to kind of throw a kink in it. And it was like, and I'll show you in a minute, but with all this talk, the first thing that it reminded me of was this from 2018. New Ripple, this is something I remember covering back then, new Ripple-led advocacy group to pay DC lobbyists in XRP. This was when they created the Securing America's Internet of Value Coalition. It was Ripple, Ripple Works Foundation, Coil, and then Hard Yaka, which is Greg Kidd's investment firm, and then PolySign as well. And they had all gotten together. It was a lobbying effort. And if you look here, the firm, they were going to be paid, they're paying this Klein Johnson group. They're going to be paid $25,000 a month, as well as 10,000 XRP. And Chris Larson even commented on it. He said it gives them an upside and gives them some risk. Hopefully it gives them a taste of the industry in a way that hits home. So I always thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, so the hero in all of this, from what I can tell, is this Senator Cynthia Lummis. She's trying to get, if they're putting something in the infrastructure bill for crypto, and she's trying to make it pro-innovation. So she's been tweeting today. The way I understood it is today at 12 they were going to reconvene, and they may or may not try to pass this thing today. Usually they do things like this on weekends when they're trying to sneak it through, is my experience. She says, we should ensure that people aren't trying to avoid taxes. Everybody agrees with that, by sheltering their money in digital assets. But we can do that without stifling innovation and choosing winners and losers. Our position as a global financial leader is a privilege, not a right. Other countries have a head start on us. The development of digital assets, if we get this wrong, we handicap ourselves and put our future prosperity at risk. No votes tonight. This was yesterday, so these are kind of her 2 updates. Then Barry Silbert had tweeted this out, and this is interesting. He says, I'm unaware of any constituent or company that supports the Mark Warner, Rob Portman Senator sentiment, and I'm going to give you a little thing that I found at the end of this video. Stay tuned. I think you might find it interesting. Not one person, so he's basically saying nobody that he knows of supports this. He says all of the public voter support has been thrown behind the bipartisan Ron Wyden, Cynthia Lummis, and Senator Toomey amendment. Okay, then this Jerry Brito, here's the gist of what this Mark Warner guy is trying to do. Senator Warner has revised his amendment yet again. He now excludes proof of work and proof of stake, but not any other consensus mechanism. I am speechless. Now they're picking 2 winners. There are other consensus mechanisms. Why do this? In other words, he's trying to push the bill in the direction of choosing proof of work, which doesn't work. We all know that on this channel. And proof of stake, but not letting any other mechanisms have favorable treatment in this bill. Okay, so, and then Ron Hammond, who used to work for Ripple, he gives his update here. The public pressure is working as more senators express concerns to us privately about the bill text. Treasury is pulling out all the stops to kill the Wyden amendment. General politics of the bill could force Senator Schumer to say no amendments at all. Okay? So, that's where things seem to be. Now, this is a guy who seems to be coming from the right perspective. This is Senator Mike Lee. Listen to what he says. This gives you a good overall of what's going on.
Americans. This is concerning. It's also concerning that one of the other pay-for provisions, the one focused on cryptocurrency, focuses on an industry that's rapidly developing within the United States, that depends on a lot of innovation happening in the United States. One of these pay-for provisions seeks to bring in more revenue to the federal government, or at least to promise more revenue to the federal government, with the promise of requiring those who buy and sell cryptocurrency to treat it the same way as they would the exchange of securities. Mr. President, this is very different than securities. These aren't just stocks. It's something very different. It's a medium of exchange that, if adopted more widely, could facilitate a lot of economic activity and a lot of innovation within the United States of America. If, in fact, we pass this bill, mark my words, it's going to have a chilling effect on innovation within this sector. And what you'll see is the flight of innovation and investment related to innovation to offshore locations around the globe. Places outside the United States may well be the ones to reap the benefit associated with the loss here in the United States if we adopt an unproven, untested, unknown strategy for dealing with something, trying to adopt many decades old regulatory policies to a completely new form of exchange. One that, by the way, values very highly the privacy of those who exchange in it. And so if what you're going to do is take away that value by requiring that all of it be registered and publicly disclosed, and by giving the federal government the ability to peer into it, you're going to stifle innovation. You're going to make a lot of people upset, and you're going to make Americans poorer.
That's right. So basically the way I read this, I can't remember where I read it, but this Senator Warner just came out of nowhere with this to try to sneak this in this bill. That's the way I understand it. So again, as we've seen with the way the SEC has operated with Jay Clayton and now Gary Gensler, William Hinman, the way we've seen all of this unfold gives everybody out there this sick feeling in their stomach about how something doesn't smell right. And now we've got this. Here's a Michael Arrington tweet. I love how senators just have to say, let's F this random stuff up. And then all the people in that industry pour money into their coffers to convince them not to. It's a direct analogy to nice store you have here. What a shame if something bad were to happen to it. Like a shakedown. That's what he's getting at. Then Mr. B says, the corruption is ridiculous, but too many people prefer to watch Netflix than do something about it. Our forefathers would have removed them from office. He is darn right they would. Then there's this. Michael at VAL5 Links tweeted this. The U.S. Treasury Secretary, this is the other thing I heard about this bill, is that this was coming from the Treasury. All of these moves were coming from the Treasury is what I've been reading. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has been accused of corruption due to receiving $7.2 million in speaking fees from just Citibank and the Citadel Hedge Fund. Unbelievable. Okay? Now, let me see, that's a different topic, but I'm going to wrap this up on this bill thing by showing you what I found. And what I found is this. And I said, well, that's a hell of a coincidence. This is Mark Warner's contributions. And look, I'm not saying anything except who his contributors are. It was just a coincidence. It's Apollo. His top contributors is this law firm, Apollo Global Management and Goldman Sachs. That's the same Apollo management that former SEC Chief Jay Clayton is chairing. Okay? Look, all I'm saying is, well, that's a hell of a coincidence. Okay, wanted to show you this. This was a cool tweet I saw earlier from Ant with all those numbers. Same coincidence, thanks Oracle. One, Ripple Labs, that we talked the other day about how Brent Entwistle is running their office out of Singapore. They are on 18 Robinson Road in Singapore. Just so happens by pure coincidence that R3 is 18 Robinson Road as well. Isn't that crazy? Now, I also wanted to show you this. There's a couple of things here. The Chosen One's been putting out some interesting tweets. I like this. The generational wealth plan. Sell 12.5% at $10, 12.5% at $100, 12.5% at $1,000, 12.5% at $10,000. Keep 50% for life. People always say, why are you going to take profits back into fiat to buy real estate, paid for real estate? Gold, silver, XRP. And then he put this one out, and this is interesting. We know that BitBoy has been all over Ripple all of a sudden. Look, when he says something that I think is right on it, I like to show it. Settlement inbound is what he says.
Ripple will get off with a slap on the wrist and only need to pay a small fine to keep the regulators at bay, just as we've seen with other similar cases from the ICO era. If that happens, Ripple will essentially have the regulatory permission to start working with banks, just as the banks are finally starting to warm up to this technology. When banks actually see what RippleNet is capable of, it's going to be hard for them to keep using the same ancient technology that they've been using for the past several decades. It's time for a change. Traditional institutions will be rushing to patch together their own blockchain solutions to compete with Ripple, but their products won't even come close because they're not as familiar with the technology and they are years behind on development. RippleNet creates a blockchain of banks and financial institutions that are all plugged into the same network, allowing them to transfer money and information much faster and cheaper than ever before in the history of the world. Modern banking involves a variety of different intermediaries who need to process the payments across numerous jurisdictions and platforms. And each step along the way, the transaction is slowed down while the funds are verified. And of course, every single one of these intermediaries needs to get paid too. If they had things their way, it would stay like this forever. But they are now being forced to compete with fintech startups like Cash App and Venmo, along with crypto assets, which both offer a far better user experience. It's exactly how the RippleNet software is being pitched to institutions. It's the kind of network that they're going to need to use if they want to stay relevant in the new digital landscape. Ripple Labs has been working for nearly a decade to provide products and services for this unique use case. Ripple will even be offering lines of credit for financial institutions that will make it even more enticing for them to use the network. This will allow them to take advantage of Ripple's services without a massive upfront investment, which is a very smart way for them to get their foot in the door. In the years to come, Ripple will likely expand their suite of products and offer new services as the industry evolves. As we've seen with the incoming launch of the Flare network, Ripple continues to contribute to the blockchain industry. They're one of the few development teams working on products specifically targeted at banks and traditional finance.
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that things in DC sure do stink.